Your oldest friend just left you on red. Not because he's busy. You saw him post 20 minutes later, a photo, a comment, alive and online, and choosing not to answer you. It's the third time this month. You do the thing you always do. You tell yourself it's nothing. He's got a lot going on. You'll catch up soon. But you already know. You've known for a while. He's not pulling away because you did something wrong. He's pulling away because you did well. And nobody warns you about this one. They warn you about taxes and bad investments and people who want your money. Nobody sits you down and tells you that the very first thing wealth takes from you isn't money at all. It's the people who knew you before you had any. This is the bill nobody shows you. It comes due one friend at a time. Level 1. You make $50,000 and you lose the friend who knew you broke. His name is the first one in your phone that you slowly stop texting first. You didn't decide to. There was no moment, no argument. It just happened. One unanswered message at a time. Until the silence became the relationship. You got the job. He didn't. Nothing else changed between you, except that changed everything, and you both felt it before either of you could name it. The last real conversation you had, he said, "Must be nice," 3 times. Not cruel, just tired. The first time you laughed it off. The second time you noticed. The third time it landed somewhere deep and stayed there. And you started doing something you'd keep doing for the rest of your life without realizing it. You started editing yourself around him, leaving out the raise, downplaying the new apartment, turning "I bought a car" into "I finally got something to get around in." You thought you were being kind. What you were actually doing was shrinking yourself back down to a size that fit through the door of a friendship that no longer had a room big enough for who you were becoming. He stops inviting you to things. When you finally ask why, he says the group just figured you were busy these days. You weren't busy. You were just no longer the person they pictured on a cheap Friday night. Somewhere along the way, you became the guy whose presence made the check awkward. The one whose "don't worry, I've got this one" landed like a small insult instead of a favor. Generosity, at the wrong altitude, doesn't feel like generosity to the person receiving it. It feels like a reminder. Then comes his birthday. You go. Of course you go. And when the bill lands in the middle of the table and the air gets tight the way it always used to, you reach for it, because it's genuinely nothing to you now. You hand over the card. It clears instantly, smoothly, without the little prayer everyone at that table used to say silently before a card went through. And you watch his face change. Just slightly. Just for a second. That's the moment. Not a fight, not a betrayal. Just a card clearing too easily in a room where money used to be a shared struggle, a thing that bonded all of you. You picked up a dinner, and it cost you a 20-year friendship, and you will replay that arithmetic for years. What you should have done, whether letting him pay would have been kinder than paying, whether there was any move at all that didn't end here, and you will never once make the numbers come out even. Level 2. You make $120,000, and you lose the friend who needed you to still be climbing. This one is quieter and somehow worse because there's no villain in it anywhere. She was happy for you. Genuinely. At first. You two came up together, traded interview tips, complained about the same impossible bosses, split cheap meals and believed the same beautiful lie that you'd cross the finish line side by side, together. Proof that people like you could make it. Then you made it, and she didn't. And the story you'd been telling each other for years quietly stopped being a story about the two of you and became a story about you, with her as a witness. She still calls, but the calls have a shape now, and you can feel the shape before you even pick up. She wants to vent. You want to help. And helping is the exact mistake every single time. Because the moment you offer a solution, you're accidentally reminding her that you're standing on the side of the river where solutions exist. She doesn't want your advice. She never did. She wants her old friend back, the one who was stuck in the same current, bailing the same water, going nowhere in the same boat. And you can't be that person for her anymore because you rowed to shore. You did the thing you both dreamed about, and doing it took her away from you. The friendship doesn't end. That would almost be cleaner. Instead, it thins. Weekly becomes monthly, becomes, "we really should catch up sometime." That phrase that means the precise opposite of the words inside it. You both keep it on life support because pulling the plug means saying out loud why it died. And why is a word neither of you can afford. So you leave it running, quietly, in a back room of your life, and you both pretend not to hear the machine. Level 3. You make $400,000, and you lose the friend who couldn't stop keeping score. At this level, new people start arriving. And that's the trap, dressed up as a reward. You think you're finally building the circle you always wanted. Interesting people, ambitious people, people who move through rooms you only just got the key to. What's actually happening is that you're being audited. Every new friendship at this altitude comes with a faint arithmetic humming underneath it. Who paid last time? Who made the introduction? Who is useful to whom, and how much, and for how long? There was one from this era you genuinely liked. Sharp, funny, easy to be around, moved effortlessly through the same new world you were still learning to stand up straight in. And it took you nearly 2 years to see the ledger under everything. The favor that got quietly remembered. The introduction that came with an invisible invoice, expecting an introduction back. The long dinner that turned out, somewhere around the second drink, to be a pitch wearing the costume of a friendship. He never once asked you for money. He asked for something much harder to name and much harder to refuse. Access, proximity, the warmth that comes off a life like yours if you stand close enough to it. And the day you finally stopped being useful to something he was building, he didn't get angry. There was no blow-up, no betrayal you could point to and feel clean about. He simply evaporated, a slow fade, message by message, until the name in your phone belonged to a stranger you used to trust. And that's when you understood the friendships at this level don't break. They get closed. Quietly, cleanly. The way a company shuts down an account that stopped turning a profit. No hard feelings, just math. Level 4. You make $1 million and you lose the friend you were sure was different. This is the one that actually breaks something in you. Every other loss you saw coming from a mile off. This one you never did, because you built your whole sense of yourself on him being the exception. He was the proof. The one who never asked for anything, who knew you back when there was nothing to ask for. The one you defended in your own head every single time some voice whispered, "Watch who's around you now." You needed him to be real, because if he was real, then it wasn't all transactional. Then you hadn't slowly turned into a bank with a human face. Then somebody, somewhere, still saw you and not your balance. And then the ask comes. It's wrapped beautifully. Not a loan, never anything as crude as a loan. An opportunity, a favor only you could do. You're honestly the only person I trust with something like this. And here's the part that ruins you. Maybe he means it. Maybe it's completely sincere. You will never know. Because at $1 million, you lose the one ability you'd give anything to keep. The ability to tell the difference between being loved and being leveraged. That's the real loss, not him. The doubt he leaves behind. The doubt that quietly moves into every single relationship you will ever have for the rest of your life. You say yes. Of course you say yes. Because saying no would confirm the worst thing you secretly believe about what you've become. And the yes changes nothing and everything at once. He's still there. He still calls. But now you're watching. And the moment you start watching a friend, measuring, weighing, wondering, the friend is already gone. You just keep the body in the room a while longer, out of hope, because you can't quite bring yourself to bury someone who's still smiling at you. Level 5. You have $10 million, and you lose the last one, the version of yourself who could do this at all. There's no friend left to lose at this level, and that's not because they all left. It's because you stopped letting anyone close enough to become one. That was the adaptation. Somewhere back around the third quiet betrayal, some part of you did the cold arithmetic and concluded that closeness has a price you were tired of paying, and you stopped paying it. You don't call it that, of course. You call it being careful, being smart, protecting your peace. And it is cheaper than being hurt. It's just not free. Nothing is. The people around you now are excellent, truly. Vetted, pleasant, discreet. They laugh at the right moments and they never ask for anything vulgar. Some of them are paid and some of them aren't. And the strangest thing is that you can't always tell which is which anymore. Because the unpaid ones have learned to function like the paid ones. Warm, present, fundamentally professional. You are never alone, and you are never truly accompanied. It's a very specific kind of silence, and money is extraordinarily good at buying it and completely unable to explain it to you afterward. You think about your oldest friend sometimes. Level 1. The birthday. The card that cleared too smoothly. You could call him. You still have his number. You never deleted it across 3 phones in 15 years, and you've never let yourself ask why. But you don't call. You wouldn't know how to say anything that didn't sound like charity coming out of your mouth, and he wouldn't know how to hear anything that didn't sound like charity landing in his ear. And the silence between you has been compounding so long now that it has its own gravity. It's heavier than both of you. It's the most expensive thing you own. Because the last friend you lose was never really a person at all. It was the version of you that could be one. The one who could need somebody without running the numbers first. Who could show up empty-handed, with no leverage and no angle, and just sit there. Who could eat a cheap dinner at a loud table and feel like the richest man alive. You traded him early, for reasons that made perfect sense at every single step along the way. And nobody warned you that he wasn't coming back. Somewhere right now, someone is staring at a message left on read. Third time this month. They're telling themselves it's nothing. He's just busy. They'll catch up soon. It's not nothing. It's the first payment on a bill that keeps coming due at every level, for the rest of a life. In a currency you can't earn your way out of. Money doesn't take your friends all at once. That would be too obvious, too easy to fight. It takes them one level at a time, so slowly and so quietly that you're always certain the last one was just a coincidence, just bad timing, just life. By the time you can finally afford anything you want, the only thing you want is the one thing that was never, at any price, for sale.